Every business partnership, no matter how successful, eventually hits a crossroads. A partner decides to leave. Maybe they're retiring, maybe they're starting something new. Whatever the reason, their departure kicks off this whole complex, but absolutely critical financial reshuffle. So let's dive in and break down exactly how that works.
So, picture this. A key player in your business is heading for the exit. Now, this is way more than just a farewell party and a gold watch. It's a fundamental shift that means the entire financial backbone of the business has to be, well, reevaluated and rebuilt. And that brings us to the big question, right? What actually happens now? The old partnership agreement? It's pretty much obsolete. The business itself has to be reshaped, both legally and financially. So how do you untangle all those finances and make sure everyone gets what they're fairly owed?
Well, there's an official term for this whole process. It's called reconstitution. It's like the original rule book for the business gets tossed out and a brand new one is written for the team that's left. This is what allows the business to keep running smoothly, just under a new set of terms.
Okay, to make all this a little less abstract, let's follow a story. We're going to meet Asha, Deepti, and Nisha. They're 3 partners in a business that's doing pretty well. Their journey is going to walk us through every single step of this reconstitution process.
Right. First things first, when a partner leaves, the very first order of business is to figure out the money. Specifically, how are the remaining partners going to share the profits from now on? The old deal is off the table, so you have to draw up a new one, and fast.
And this brings up 2 super important terms that you've got to understand. First, you have the new profit-sharing ratio. That's all about the future, how the pie gets sliced from this day forward. But then you have the gaining ratio. This one is about the transition itself. It defines how the exiting partner's share gets divvied up between the partners who are staying. They are connected, for sure, but they're not the same thing. So here's where our team started. This was the original deal. For every 6 rupees of profit the company made, Asha would get 3, Deepti would get 2, and Nisha would get 1. A nice, simple 3-2 to 1 split. This was the foundation they built their business on. And boom, here's the event that changes everything. Deepti decides it's time to retire. Now, her share, that 2/6 piece of the pie, is up for grabs. It has to be absorbed by Asha and Nisha.
So, what happens now? Well, in the most straightforward scenario, the remaining partners just keep their old ratio, but only relative to each other. Asha and Nisha's original split was 3-1, right? So that just becomes their new profit-sharing ratio. Simple as that. Asha now gets 3/4 of the profits, and Nisha gets 1/4.
Okay, profit split is sorted. Now, we have to tackle something that's a bit less tangible. A little harder to pin down, but believe me, it is incredibly valuable. We're talking about the firm's reputation, or what accountants call goodwill. And here's the key thing to get. Deepti didn't just put in money. She put in years of work building the company's name, its brand, its client list, and all of that has real monetary value. Goodwill is basically the process of turning all that hard-earned reputation into actual cash, so she can be paid for her part in building it. Let's stop talking in hypotheticals and put a number on it. Let's say at the moment Deepti retires, the firm's total goodwill is valued at 84,000 rupees. She helped build that, so she's entitled to her share of it. And in the real world, this number is often where disagreements happen, which is exactly why having a valuation method in your partnership agreement from day one is so important. So, how does this actually get recorded on the books? Well, Deepti's 2/6 share of that 84,000 rupee goodwill comes out to 28,000. To pay her, the remaining partners, Asha and Nisha, take a hit to their own capital accounts. Their accounts are debited, or reduced, in their 3-1 gaining ratio. That money is then credited or paid right into Deepti's capital account. Okay, we've handled the new profit split, we've dealt with the goodwill. Now it's time for the grand finale, calculating the final total amount that the firm owes the retiring partner. This is where we balance the books once and for all. Think of it like a ledger. On one side, you have everything the firm owes the partner. These are the credits. This is going to include things like her initial capital, her share of that goodwill we just talked about, any saved up profits, maybe some unpaid salary, you get the idea. And on the other side of the ledger, you've got the debits. This is anything the partner might owe back to the firm. This could be money she already withdrew, her share of any losses the company took, things like that. It might seem like a lot of moving parts, but it really just boils down to a simple 4-step calculation. You start with her capital balance, you add up all those credits,
everything the firm owes her. Then you subtract all the debits, everything she owes the firm. And what's left? That's it. That's the final amount due. We've got our magic number. The very last step in this whole process is actually settling the account and officially closing this chapter for everyone involved. Now, the firm basically has two ways to play this. If they're flush with cash, they can just pay the retiring partner out in one big lump sum, done and dusted. But what's often more common is that the amount gets converted into a loan. Essentially, the retiring partner is now loaning that money back to the firm, and it gets paid back over time in installments with interest. It really just comes down to the firm's cash flow at that moment. And with that payment, it's official. The reconstitution is complete, and the business moves forward into its next chapter with a new structure. But this whole process brings up a really important question for anyone who's in a partnership. Is your partnership agreement clear enough to handle this moment without it turning into a huge fight? Because having these rules defined before you need them is really the only way to guarantee a smooth, fair transition for everyone.